grams has to go to moles. What goes beside moles?
1.
All right. What compound or element did I give you here?
Argon.
Is argon one of the 7 diatomics?
No.
So we don't have to worry about a diatomic.
40.
So what's the mass of argon?
39.95.
40.
All right, you can do that. You can round it to 40. That's not a problem. All right, grab your calculator. All right, so 54.8 divided by 39.9, 1.37. All right, R, of course, we don't have to worry about. And is temperature in the right unit?
Yes.
So everything's in the right unit except for N, which we just fixed. So do I have anything else to change?
No.
No. So now plug it into PV equals M, R, and T. So all that's left is to solve. 1, we don't know V, 1.37, 0.0821, temperature is 273.
Now you get a number.
So V equals,
30.
what do I get? 30?
30.7.
30.7.
What unit goes on a volume when I'm solving with an R?
Liters.
And you put liters on it.
Liters.
Questions?
No.
Now, for those of you who were like, I don't remember how to do that from yesterday. You think you can try number 2 now?
Yeah.
All right, you try number 2.
Pressure has to be atmosphere, right?
Yes. Okay, no problem.
I didn't think that before. Thing.
I want some food. We don't care. Jaden, shut up. What am I talking about? I don't care. You're talking down loud, so what's your point? Stop it.
Thank you.
Where does KKA go? Please.
Can you use it for pressure?
I need to grab that too, use some water.
Oh my God.
So you divide it by 101 more.
Somebody spell macaron.
Mac and cheese.
I thought it was MACAROON.
Macaroon?
No, MACAROON. Yeah, when she parked all the way up there. She do that every morning.
I know, but why? Why?
Well, I just put Alan on Snapchat, call her a marvelous macaroon. She spelled macaroon wrong.
How's she spelled?
Macaroon.
She put a G in there. No.
MACROON. Macaroon.
C-R-O.
What's the senior
I
center?
don't know how to spell it, but I know that's not.
MACAROON.
Oh,
And we was trying to figure out why she put macaroon. Upcoming senior Allison macaroon. I don't know
Like
the
seniors,
I'll never know.
I have.
Like, they're just
like, they're kind of bland.
What is it?
When we convert the moles to
Would y'all stop arguing?
we're not arguing.
You are terribly loud. You sound like you're arguing.
It's not arguing.
We were having a conversation about macaroons.
Stop.
Oh,
Ms. Walter, we convert the moles to
Yes.
it was.
Oh, my God.
Oh, feel like it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure, walk in here. I'm gonna be the first person.
What the
No,
shut
just,
up?
and then it's gonna be.
Huh?
Yeah, because they walk in, they gonna see him.
And then they gonna look at me.
Nah, they gonna look this way.
They gonna look at Karen big old head.
Can see
Right,
my
she gotta be fast. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm walking fast.
All right, we look at number 2. You have a quiz on this tomorrow, by the way, plus the 2 formulas we're doing today.
Oh my god.
So if we look at number 2, do you have all the right units?
No.
No, you don't have any of the right units, so they all have to be changed. Just telling you, you're gonna have it tomorrow on the quiz too. So when you look at what you have, what's the 458 milliliters go with? Volume. So 458 milliliters has to go here. All right, what else do we know? What's the 35C?
Temperature.
Okay. And what is the 95.6 kPa?
Pressure.
Okay. Now, you have to be able to do that all on your own without us telling you. Which one of these are we going to solve for, N or R?
And
R is what?
1.
Now, all of these are in the right or the wrong units. So they need to be changed. Now, you don't actually have to show me changing this. You can if you want to. I don't need it. But if you can't do it without drawing the chart, then draw the chart. Okay? But I don't actually have to see that chart on your quiz or test paper. At this point, all I need is what it equals to. 458 milliliters again. I don't need to see the chart. If you need to draw the chart, draw the chart. But if you can do that in your head or on your calculator, that's really all I need at this point. Okay? If you can't do that without drawing the chart, again, draw the chart. Same thing here. At this point, I would hope that we all know we add 273 to get 308 kelvins. Now, we have everything converted. Plugging in to PV equals nRT. Pressure is 0.94. Volume is 0.458. And we don't know. R is 0.0821. And temperature is 308. Now, at this point, how do I solve for N?
You divide by 0.021.
Yep. Now, some of you yesterday, and I'm going to give your quizzes back in a minute. All right. And equals. Now, if I see this on your paper, do I know how you get your N?
Yes.
Yes. If I don't know how you get your answer, I take off more points. So if you don't show me clearly how you did your math, I can't give you much partial credit. Some of you have serious deficiencies in showing your work. I can't give you partial credit if I don't know how you got from here to this number, okay? I don't need a long drawn-out explanation, but I need to know what math you did, what numbers multiplied and what numbers divided. I'm pretty sharp. I can figure it out if you show me the work, okay? But if all I have are some squirrely numbers written down, I'm not punching on my calculator for 10 minutes trying to figure out what numbers you multiplied to get those numbers. I'm just writing minus 10 and moving on to the next question, okay? Does everybody understand that? Same on test day next week. If I can't figure it out, minus whatever, and I'm moving on. Now, the question said find the mass. Can you leave it in moles if I said find mass?
No.
No. So you got to go one more step. Take your moles. And and then go moles to grams. So 1 mole, and then you need grams. So what did I give you here? I gave you Cl. Is it diatomic? Yes. So if it's diatomic, what do you need to do?
24.
It's what?
I got
Multiply
79.
the
35.4 times 2. So chlorine is 35.4 times 2 would be 70.8, or you can round it to 71 would be okay. But 70.8. 1.2. Questions? Any questions about how to do that? Everybody okay with how we did that? Yes? All right. Let me hand back the quizzes from yesterday so that we can see what kind of mistakes we still have. Oh, I also took up openings.
Huh?
I also took up openings.
I don't want to see it.
I don't got them all.
I'm aware. That's why
When
I'm
did you
telling
take
you.
up open?
Huh?
When did you take up open?
Friday.
Oh, let me give you mine.
Feels like a fat drop of grease right
Oh, that would have been horrible.
Because they're the only things I haven't returned so that those of you who still have them missing can get them turned in.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have
I was scared. Miss Paul, can I just give you mine tomorrow?
Yep.
I haven't
handed them back yet.
I feel that's on my glove, like every time. Like 750.
Just walk you.
Yeah, I'm going to put y'all out in a minute.
No, it's the grill.
Look at
Stay at the potential directions on.
Yeah, the grill.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
All right. I need to send out everybody who did not take the Jay, Justice, Xavier, and what's that?
I know, I'm proud of what I got. That's all good.
All right, everybody else take a quiz.
There's no. I didn't take it.
Well, dark clothes, Xavier. All right, we're slow with it.
I'm gonna take it and I'm going. You already did it.
All right, here were the 2 most missed questions. 1, number 2. What unit does temperatures have to be in? I lost count in 2nd and 3rd. Of the number of you who did not change those to Kelvin. You cannot solve any equation if the temperatures are not in kelvins, okay? Every time you leave them in Celsius and solve, you get the wrong answer. It has to be calculated in kelvins, okay? It's that simple. I cannot make it any more clear than that. And several of you in here and 3rd period left those in Celsius and calculated, and you get the wrong answer. All right, number 1 and number 3, people made the exact same mistake here. Look at the wording of the question. Calculate the volume at standard temperature. Wherever you put your question mark for calculate the volume, the temperature has to be what? 273. That 565 has to have a temperature of 123. Several of you have that 565 with the standard temperature. That 565 has to stay with that 123. You can't switch those two. It says calculate the volume at what? Standard temperature. So wherever you have that question mark, that 273 has to stay with the question mark. Okay? Do you see how the question is worded? that calculate the volume at standard temperature, those two numbers are together. That 565 of a gas is at 123. Those two numbers have to stay together. So what was that when it was converted? What was 123 when we converted it? 396. So that 396K has to stay with the 565. You understand why I did that? Okay. People who made that mistake did the exact same thing in number 3. It says calculate the volume at STP. Wherever you put your calculate the volume, STP has to stay with it. 1 ATM and 273K has to stay with that calculate the volume. That 400 and something, I can't see it, 456 milliliters then has a volume of 875 millimeters of mercury and a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. These three things have to stay together. Does that make sense? Okay? This volume has to stay with these two numbers. Calculate the volume has to stay with these two numbers. Yes or no? If you don't get it, tell me. I'll try to explain it a different way. But that's the mistake most people made. They switched those volumes up. Other questions on the quiz. Those are the things I wanted to talk about. Most of y'all forgot how to convert PA to ATM in number 5. PA?
Yeah.
What was the number for PA?
4.5.
Times 10 to the... All right, so you're going to put 1.01325 times 10 to the 5th, and then 1 ATM on the top. And when you do it, you get 4.5.
What did you get?
5.39.
I don't either. Okay.
Have you recorded? You didn't start recording yet.
They're smart enough to watch the video.
Yeah, when I watched the video, because I'm here Friday, I figured y'all whole conversation about Jabari.
All right.
Well,
All right, let's let them back in.
okay. I figured I was like, man, yeah, they is loud. That's funny.
We're not chasing them down, Jaden. All right, find your notes. I don't care. Moving on without them. All right, let me run through the homework answers for those people who did homework and for those people who are like, I don't know how to do the homework. You know, in case I should put any of these on the test, since some of you are like, I don't know how to do these, Ms. Wall. Which is really kind of sad. All right, so if we look at the homework questions. All right, question number 1. What can you tell me about the volume in 1B and the question? Are the volumes the same or are the volumes different? They're the same. So what do you know about the number of molecules if the volumes are the same? They're the same, okay? So the number of molecules will be 1.08 times 10 to the 23rd. And there would be no work to be done. It's Avogadro's principle. Number 2 and 3 are review questions. So 2B would be 1.50 times 10 to the 24th molecules. 3B would be 17 grams. 4B would be 78 liters. 5B would be 0.25 moles. 6B would be 5.5 grams. And 7B would be 2.8 liters. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, some of you said 12 through 15 were hard. All right. 12B would be 4.5 atmospheres, or it was C, right? C. Wrong one. All right. 12C would be 77 atmospheres. 13C would be 3.8 liters. 14C would be 0.037 moles. And the last one, 15C, would be 0.36 grams. Got those right? See? All right, so I have a call for 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 are review. All right, so let me go all the way to the end of this. All right, 2 says that we have 0.250 moles, and it wants to know molecules. So how do we go from moles to molecules? If we're in moles, that's a really ugly mole.
1 mole on the bottom.
1 mole on the bottom.
You put Avogadro's number.
Yep. That's it. Moles to molecules. That's number 2. All right. Number 3 says we have molecules and we're going to mass. So we got 3.01 times 10 to the 23rd. And we have molecules.
You said mole.
And then we're going to mass. Mass is always what? What did we say mass was always yesterday? Grams. All right. So what goes on the bottom? Well, molecules. We'll come back and put the numbers in. All right, so if we put molecules on the bottom, what goes on top? Moles. All right, what goes on the bottom? What goes on top? All right, so what number are we putting next to molecules? Avogadro. All right, what are we putting next to moles? Next to moles? All right, what goes next to grams?
What?
All right, what did they give us in 3B? H2S. All right, H2S. So we'd have to say, how many H's do we have? How many S's? Mass of H is 1, mass of S is 32. So we get 2, we get 32 for a total of 34. So we're going to put 34 there. So we multiply and divide. Okay? That's 2 and 3. Questions about anything else in the other ones? The other ones are all PV equals NRT. So which ones out of those do you want? Any of those?
No.
Okay. In that case, let's talk about the 2 new formulas today. All right. We're going to learn how to do those 2 formulas, and then we'll do volume towards the end of class. All right. So, the first new formula. Now, these 2 formulas are not on our reference table. All right? They are not.
So we have to memorize.
You have to memorize these. Everybody heard me say it, right? Not on the reference table. Now, big M stands for molar mass. Little m is plain mass. Now, molar mass can be calculated as grams per mole, AMU, or U. Now, if I give you the mass as AMU or U, where have you seen this before?
Isn't it percentages? Thank you. No.
Okay.
I don't know.
You've used it this morning.
Say the question again.
I said, where have we seen this before? If I give you the units AMU or U?
In the beginning of the semester.
Isn't it gotta do it?
Yes. We used it some when we did that.
What's the temperature thing? Adding up the name.
Has a name.
Mass. What does it start with?
Had multiple names.
Oh. Wait, everybody.
Is it like atomic mass or what?
Okay. Well, atomic mass would be for a singular element, and this would be the mass of a, huh? Yeah, molecular mass is another name for it. Okay. This was just the mass of a what? Yeah. This is the mass of a compound.
What's that first?
I'm just waiting on you to finish.
Okay. So this would just be the mass of a compound. Where have we been getting the mass of a compound? Is what I want you to tell me.
From our brain.
From
Here, I'm making that.
Yes. Okay.
Here, I do too.
All right. It's found on the periodic table. And if I cruise back to, where do we do that on this board?
Right there at the bottom.
Right there. In that green box was a molar mass. Okay. It's a blob. In the blob, we did a molar mass. We got that information from where? The periodic table. Okay. So when we do this number right here, we're going to get that number off the periodic table if they give us a what?
Element.
Give us an element or a compound, we can look it up on the periodic table. If they don't give us an element or a compound, we can't look it up on the periodic table. Okay? Now, little m is mass in grams. Now, everything else in this formula is just like what you learned to use yesterday. Now, this R right here is 0.0821 liters times atmospheres over moles times Kelvin. It dictates what temperature, pressure, and volume have to be, just like yesterday's formula of PV equals nRT. So when you use temperature, temperature still has to be in kelvins. Pressure has to be in what? Atmospheres. And volume has to be in what? Liters. That hasn't changed because what's in the formula? What's that? Which letter specifically? R. For example, later this week, we're going to mix all these formulas together, right? And some of you are going to say to me, Ms. Walt, do I have to use atmospheres? And you're using this formula right here. Do you have to use atmospheres if you pick that formula right there? What's the answer for why not? If you say no, you don't have to use atmospheres. Why?
There's no R.
There's what?
No R.
No R. That's the answer you ask yourselves and give yourselves. If there's no R in the formula, it doesn't have to be in atmospheres. If there's an R in the formula, the answer and the units have to be calculated in what? Atmospheres. Did you hear the reason?
Yes.
Because y'all are going to ask me that over and over later in the week. Okay? That's what I want you to say to yourselves. Is there an R in the formula? If there is, you say, I have to be in atmospheres. If there's no R, you don't have to be in atmospheres. And see, I won't have to say that 800 times. Okay? Now, the second formula. It's for density. All right? Now, we've already learned a normal density formula, but this one is specific. It's only for the density of a gas. The only two variables we're going to talk about are D and the M. Of course, D stands for density. And this one, the unit is slightly different than the beginning of the year. It's in grams per liter. At the beginning of the year, yeah, I'm fine. It was in grams per milliliter. But we have to put it in liters this time. Why is it in liters and not milliliters like it was way back in January?
Because it's been liters.
Why? Why is this one in liters though? There's an R, okay? That's why it's in liters, not milliliters, because we're using an R, okay? This M stands for molar mass, which again will be grams per mole, AMU, or U. You can use any of those units. Any of them are fine. Now, where did I already say we were going to get that number from? Periodic table. So if they want you to find a density, they have to give you the element or the compound. Now, because we're using R, pressure and temperature have to be in atmospheres and kelvins.
What if they don't give us some molar mass?
They have to tell you something. They could not give you the molar mass and give you density, and you could solve for molar mass. Now, they could do that, but they have to give you something. They can't not give you one or the other. Well, I guess I could do that and say, make me a sample problem for the test. We don't have that kind of time.
It's got to be accurate.
If I made the problem up, it could turn out to be something, which is possible. All right.
Go back one foot.
Are you not done?
I went down on that first page. I finished this one by then.
Yeah, I do. You already know stuff. No work today, no I'm on
I see you didn't become a faster rider wherever you went. All right, write it down. 2 and 3 are review questions. All the rest of them are PV equals RT. And 2 and 3 is on the chart. So most molecules.
Actually, I did. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Molar mass.
The exam is going to be a challenge.
Your class is a challenge. Yeah.
Those on the bottom, molecules on the top.
What do you mean molecules on the 6?
Yeah, exactly.
What? Are you gonna wait till next week? So what day is your birthday?
Oh, so you won't be here on Thursday? Okay, that's a good plan. I was hoping your birthday fell on like a Saturday or something.
No, it's on Thursday.
Holy crap, he is.
He was like,
You got it written?
Yes.
Now, this is the easy variety of where to use this formula.
Number 3 says find the next.
Same thing, draw a chart. Start with molecules, go with grams. Any section. Yep. Now, this question says find the molar mass, right? So, out of your 3 formulas, PV equals nRT, molar mass, and density, which one of the formulas, Stephanie, which one has molar mass in it? The molar mass formula. So this is one, in a minute when we're practicing, when you're trying to choose the formula to use, I would pick molar mass because it has molar mass in it. Some of you would say, well, why not pick density? Does the formula give you density or say anything about density? Then I would not pick the density formula. So, molar mass, little m, R, T, P, and V. Now, given they've asked you for molar mass, the rest of the variables we have to have. Mass is 35.69 grams. Now, the biggest mistake that people make once I teach this formula is they struggle with PV equals nRT and this one. Little m stands for what? Mass. N stands for what? Moles. You have to keep those two straight. If you choose to flip back and use PV equals nRT, you have to remember that N stands for moles. So if you're using that formula and you've got grams, you have to change it to moles. In this formula, M stands for what? Mass is in grams. Are we changing anything in this formula? No, it's in grams. We leave it be. R is 0.0821. Temperature is 273. Pressure is 1 atm. And volume is in milliliters. Is that unit okay? That's the only unit that's not what we need it to be in. So that has to be changed by dividing by, oops, I left my 5 out. Dividing by 1,000, and we get 0.658 liters. So we only had one unit we had to change out of the whole problem. So at this point, it's literally a plug and chug. The formula, big M equals little m RT over PV. So we have 35.69, 0.0821, temperature is 273, 1, and 0.658. Has anybody already calculated it for me so you can tell me the answer?
1,212. 15.
15? This would be one I made up the numbers for, Maria. Because no gas has a molar mass that high. Okay? Now, any issues with how to do that?
No.
It's not hard.
Next.
It's not
I would
hard.
say it's not hard, but you be the one who's gonna teach this. We're like,
Right.
a lot.
Whatever. All right, so let's go back and do what we did yesterday.
You're the one that does teach it for how many?
A lot. All right.
Ew. I actually got stuck on number 3.
PV equals nRT.
You said it was
They're all PV equals nRT.
You just said 2 and 3 is chart.
We did 2 and 3. You're on 4.
I'm not on 4. I'm on 3.
I thought you said you were on 4.
No, I said 3. I'm stuck on 4 too.
That's a molecule.
Okay.
So that has to be a molecule.
That says molecule.
Really?
What the heck is this?
All right, so from a molecule, we go to molecule. Mole.
Just that thing.
Molecule,
And
and then mole to gram.
yeah.
Mole on top,
Like, and he dropped all
mole on the
around.
bottom,
You dropped
and
it.
then we go one on top. So what goes inside moles? We get one.
No.
And so where we get
You get the
gram.
high point of you
Right, you found that space to rest. You know what?
Okay, what's X? He's the one really.
All right, we got it written? All right. Oh, y'all want to solve it? All right, I want you to solve it with this formula, though.
Which one?
This one. Yeah, I don't want to use PV. We did PV yesterday. That's why we're redoing this one. I want to show you that it can work with a different formula. That's the reason we're doing this again.
Temperature always in Kelvin.
Okay, so 300 milliliters becomes 0.3 liters. R is 0.0821. 27 becomes 300K. 356.8 kPa becomes 3.5 ATM. And which one am I solving for? Big M or little m?
Little M.
Little m, when it just has mass, is little m. All right, so molar mass. I got to have that in the question. So what am I going to put for molar mass?
You you gotta figure out what the mass of chlorine is.
That's right. Molar mass is chlorine. What do I know about chlorine? So it's Cl2, so it's 70.8. Okay? Now, the formula is big M equals little m RT over PV. So 70.8 equals M 0.0821 times 300 over 0.3 times 3.5. Now, all that's left is to use your algebra skills to solve. Cross multiply. We're going to have 70.8 times 0.3 times 3.5 equals M times 0.0821 times 300. Now, how do I get M by itself?
Divided by R and
Divide by 300. That was interesting. Now, can I get you to come back down where I want you? Okay. 0.0821. 0.0821 and 300. All right. So 70.8 times 0.3 times 3.5 divide 0.0821 divide 300.
29.8.
I got 3.01. Punch it in again and see what you get. And if you don't get it, let me come look at it.
Oh, it's correct.
Still got this name here.
You got 3.01 or you got that weird 29? You got what? And I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do here in a second. Let's see what I have here, 29. All right, you multiply by 300 at the end. See how you're dividing by 0.0821? You got to divide by 300. Both the denominator divide by both numbers. Divide 0.0821. Divide.
Oh my god. I'm barely in trouble.
the only part is like plugging in the numbers.
All I did was I cross multiplied these. You with me on how I did that, Marissa? Okay. So this top line right here is the cross multiplication step.
Oh, you just drew out what you got.
Yes. Yes. All right. Can I turn so I can write down which ones I want you to do? Okay.
No, we don't.
All right. Those are the ones we're doing. And then we're going to move on to volume ratios. And I'll put the answers on my desk. And you may not get them all done before I stop you. All right, where are we on?
So are we using the formula we just learned? No.
You're using any of the three. PV equals RT, big M, or PV. Or density, any of the three.
Yeah.
All right, four works, okay. I'll resolve for moles in number 5.
Yeah.
As long as we did the math right, we've already calculated. You can do.
They don't work out.
Yeah, 5 looks okay.
If it's a compound, is one that, this wall, if it's a compound, do we still do it like it's a diatomic? Like CO together?
No, don't worry about it being diatomic, because one C, 2 O.
The examples, the last two examples that we
Yeah,
did,
this one's wrong. What looks like, yeah. All right, who else has a question? Zoe appears to be doing fine over there at my desk, so who's got a question?
she kept going.
Yeah, did, just for Xavier.
No, you could have stepped in there.
All right, you can go somewhere else.
Just for y'all.
Again, I knew she was gonna walk right beside me too.
Right beside.
I'm staying after school for this stuff.
What do we do for you? That's what we're gonna do for you.
I'm gonna stay after school.
Let's see if I can't generate some more snot, so I'm blowing my nose for you.
Oh, nah.
Who has a question?
Ours is 12, right?
Carbon is 12.
And then, molar mass is 28.
For CO?
What?
And how do we find P?
Does it say STP?
Yeah.
1 atmosphere. Is it standard pressure?
And that means.
Why are you throwing stuff now?
And that means.
I know, I never see them do anything. It's just you. Every time.
He clearly could have put the F first.
Throw the paper in the trash can. Leave her be.
He was being irresponsible.
Right.
He didn't do nothing.
Maybe you should just move away from her.
The formula.
Yes, there is. The density.
Density wall.
What?
What unit does density go in?
Grams over liters.
Oh, shut up. So I forgot.
Whose birthday is it? Happy birthday, Andrew.
Hey, she heard me sing
Happy
earlier.
birthday.
That was some good stuff.
We sounded beautiful. Happy birthday.
Miss Rector's ears were bleeding. I could hear it all the way from over here.
Why you trying to play?
I didn't. I didn't try.
Oh, you did. Because you didn't succeed.
Y'all were pretty bad.
What's pretty good?
Y'all
Let's
said,
figure it out.
Jade, y'all have to admit, that was not very good.
You went in. You talking about
What?
first
So they
period?
sang
No,
to
what was
Andy?
it? Happy birthday. Oh, I wasn't in. See, that wasn't.
You would've said it was bad, too.
Was it?
Oh, okay, that was.
We didn't start that.
Okay. That helps you know that.
She's like, oh,
Oh, they should have got that solo for one of those. She don't read. Oh my God.
Get her hands up.
Very honest. I'm over here trying to do my work.
you an ensemble with us?
I know you heard her in Virginia. No, that I would. I know, but it gets bad when I'm like. I I remember big pictures.
I don't
remember nothing. My favorite thing. I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Were y'all? No. She was on the floor. Y'all was at the table.
What are y'all supposed to be doing?
I'm doing my work. Yeah, we're doing our work. Are you reading the book?
Actually, I'm reading the book.
Speaking of books, what book did you get?
Man, I want to switch my book out.
Man, they really thought I hate you.
You said you went the shortest book.
I really wanted a handmade scale though. I should really like them.
Jay, trash around.
But
I should have known she was gonna get work.
okay, low-key though, it had 21 more pages than my book, but I just wanted it because I was watching the series. That's the only reason I wanted it. Alright, oh, I gotta read about it. Of course you
There we go.
I really got
The answers are right here if you want the answers.
Miss Richter don't be letting me go with it.
okay, miss.
Cause I don't have to. On the chart, only 2 or 3 charts.
You keep going, you're not sure.
That's why I don't be singing it, bro.
I don't know what's that in, but I keep going.
Should I have an answer from the
Oh my God.
Should I have an answer from
You're not in this class right now. So you
Yes, here.
so when we are class, we don't have to change that to mold.
Why you-
Yeah.
You talking about math?
Yeah.
You know, look at graph.
What do you?
Are you talking about that one thing?
Yeah.
Divide by 1,000.
Put that in wrong.
You want to use the whole fast you have here, baby?
I haven't used that.
Then yes, you may use the whole fast.
She transfer one to me.
No, she cannot.
I need the extra fat. I really don't want to use it, but. Which one?
Doesn't
Oh, yeah, I
matter.
took the wrong one.
Can I buy a bathroom pass from you?
No.
I give you $100.
Free? I pee like 8 times a day. I pee like 8 times a day.
What do you want me to do?
More than that, actually, because that shit's just good.
What? All of that.
I pee after every, well, I really don't. It's it's from the time I wake up to the end of the school day, about 8. That's your problem, because I don't want her after school, she pees like this. No, it's just like, I be at the first period. Cause you got drink. I know. I be at the first period, at the second period, I be before second period. And then I be, maybe when I come back for lunch. And then after third again, so that's 5. And then I might go there for 4, depending on who I have, because I don't know.
What you
But
say,
I
boy?
go with this. So,
Talking jump, boy? Oh, I got that right.
me too, I got 3 or 4 extra pads.
Yes. Maybe you should be quiet.
No.
Yeah, she does. Secretly today.
Dave, you ugly now.
I don't know why they got rid of
This is bad.
Got rid of the rest of them.
Justice, I don't know how you got any bathroom passes.
Stay when it's.
How many bathroom passes you got?
Oh my God.
No way.
Yeah, that's very often in here.
Chill. Shut up, boy.
No, I don't want to. It's a scary fight.
Ms. Burke, what does that mean? Today? All right.
Are you
That's
on SAT thing?
at 6?
Camouflage.
6?
I wish I could camouflage.
What meeting? What meeting?
We were having swords. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Yeah, me either.
Oh, no. Yeah. I really don't be talking about after school. Judy, they don't see during lunch. Listen to how. I know it was, yeah, last time it was after school, right? So it said, no, she won't have me.
You ain't gotta pay nothing.
No.
Jay, what are you supposed to be doing? And then I'm gonna make you move someplace else. And Jay's going back over there. You're not working.
Who are you talking to?
I'm singing the song.
You should have more than that number of problems go.
I got 3 done.
I'm singing the song.
Out of how many did I have on the board? Like 8?
Look, I'm really slow. Only
That's what it's
7.
called.
I have ADHD. Right, I get
Then
distracted.
you don't need to be sitting at the back of the room, behind the counter, where you can play on your phone.
I'm not on my phone. I have not been on my phone.
Okay, you're still not working.
But I'm not on my phone.
That's great, you're still not working.
But I'm not on my phone.
Okay, so we got half of what I need.
Did you say it's 1.28?
7 is 2.8. All right, now let's see what you got. I only looked at one mistake. All right, so 25 grams of change of molds.
What they gonna be doing?
I think because I didn't include it in my thing. I didn't finish it. That's what. I didn't even finish it. Sorry.
Xavier, how many you got done?
3.
So we either use PV, NRT, M.
Or D? One of the 3. Bates, how many you got done? Did you start? I would have suspiciously like
Why are
that.
you so surprised?
Ryan?
Yeah.
No, that would be James.
James.
Let's say none.
This one, this one.
Y'all ain't doing the money. Or you play right up to like 80, 79.
No, I think it's right there in balance. I can't see it. I have planning right now.
You talking about
Okay, for a line of never leaders.
Yeah.
This wall. So, are you gonna be mad if I ask this question? So, and then the question that asked you from all of them, you. I can't find the end though. I'm so confused.
You're not. You're not.
She said what year? What earth and end
Say,
Lori is not on the leaders. Paper now on five. I could be wrong though, I'm sorry if I am. They're on my toe.
What? Oh, yeah. How come you didn't work? Friday. Oh, I did. I woke up. I had clothes that night. I had to open on Sunday and I slept there when your dad called me. I woke up, I was like, yep. I left off up.
Hated
I closed on Friday and then opened on Saturday. Yeah. And then like, cause I didn't go to sleep until like 12. That's why I did. I used to go to sleep until 1. Then I had to wake up at 4. And then well, that's like, I had to be there at 5:30.
you know, later.
I just like, I woke up and set all my alarms on. I got
Which one?
I was like, yeah, so I promise you that. My mom had to make me up. Yeah, because my mom was at work. She usually wakes me up and she's at work. I feel like I was eating in the car.
Oh, you like so cute. And I really
I was pretty good though. I got down. The girls were like, it's hard for you to I forget. I used to be. I hate closing it. I know.
I'm still stuck on number 2. Jaden, how are you stuck on number 2? I'm confused. Okay.
I got ready. I was at work.
Are you done?
I know, and I'm only one. Okay. What's this? Oh. Okay. Do we just round that up to 1, or do we, or can I add atmosphere? Get in your butt? That's 1.
Well, it could be 0.9, but you convert it. Did you convert it from something?
Yeah.
It could be 0.9.
This is worse. Why do we have to convert something?
Because you did.
This is like.
Abraham, you
Jay,
done?
get your friend.
I said, are you done? Yes.
So,
Oh, yeah. So.
And if she do it, it'll be in front of everybody, 'cause you know how that goes.
You have to call it out. Before it's over.
Right.
Only you would do that.
Well, if it asks for mask, can we use the one we need?
You need either one?
I have a question.
Yeah?
Why would you say that most of us would gravitate towards the roller mask?
Because most people like that one better with finding mass. I don't know why, they just do those years.
I like it from one.
I prefer PV.
Yeah, I like that one more.
I do too, but for some reason, students each year tend to go the other. I don't understand.
You don't have to divide it.
We like, she used a different formula for number
You
two.
do have to divide it.
Cause I asked you, I was like, we need to use only those two, you said, yeah.
No problem.
I knew I said I took you. What? I'm trying.
Yep.
I give you about 5 more minutes,
Damn it.
and we're gonna move
Second
on.
out to every class. I'm tired. So you think, what you doing, stand up all night? What? During the night? Or unless you like this. Mob fight. I said mob fight. Yes, I'm sorry. That's why I said. Yeah. I'll put my money on you. But if you lose, then I'm. Yes, I will. If you lose, I'm gonna put money on you. If you lose, you work at another ticket. That's about me. Yeah. If you don't pay me, that's what
Oh, yeah.
I know we can do
I did it this morning.
Who are you first? That's another good reason.
She's always eating.
I still remember.
That's Karen, man. I see him today get down in his car. And I love you.
What about 6th grade?
Right. I need to go. I can go Thursday. I got to set out days. Okay, I'll go Thursday. When she gets out, I go. Right, I'm going Wednesday. Thursday.
Jane, stop telling people you have a
Okay, first of all, Zoe, what did I tell you? You're irrelevant right now. Stop saying it. What did I tell you? Stop telling people that you have a boyfriend. You are not. What?
What's the issue?
She told me yesterday she needed a calculator in your ID in this paper.
Miss Wall, why couldn't we have used the molar mass formula for number 9?
I just got 2.22.
You could, you just have to find mass that convert it back to moles.
Because I got something totally different from Oh, convert it back to moles. I'm so stupid.
I would have used PV there because it asks for moles.
For number 3.
Let's see, what do you do?
Okay. No, It's like something. It's so confusing.
We're at 0.36. What do you have? That's all she got. There's no sugar.
Okay, Miss Wall, we have a small sample. We have to convert that to acres. Yeah, we have to convert that to acres.
You have what?
A mole sample, and then we're putting it in PV.
You have what?
What is the ATM? That's what I got to find.
How's the pressure? If you find it, it'll be an ATM.
You pulling it, you pulling it. You standing there, person is not talking.
Miss Wall.
Watch it, bro. Watch out. Why you I didn't make you do it. I didn't make you do it. But we hold it not. I promise I wanted to go do it. You do it. No, I did that wrong, bro. I did that all the way completely wrong. I did that.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
That was fun, dude. We would walk to like.
Look, it's in that look.
On the way to Main Street, we'll be like, hey, yeah, on the way back, we'll like each other.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll be all in the front.
What's that?
And you and Jeremy are like wandering around. I was like,
Yeah.
I remember my grandma down there. My grandma's here.
Good times.
I didn't work out Friday for a reason.
She said,
No damn.
I know.
It's so easy. Yeah.
Let us move on. At this point, I've given you close to, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes to work on those questions. And I've given you ample time to ask questions. If you can't work any of those, I will be here this afternoon. So, we're moving on to volume ratio. All right, so, yep, we're going to learn something new. Again, if you need help, I'll be here this afternoon. Your quiz tomorrow is on what we just spent a half hour working on. If you can't do what we just worked on, you know where to find me this afternoon. All right, so we're going to talk stoichiometry. For the remainder of the unit. All right. Now, these last two kinds of problems are using balanced equations. And so they're the stoichiometry piece of gas laws. Once we've done those two kind of problems, we're ready to test. Okay? Because they're the last of the gas laws. Now, we're going to review something pretty quickly, and then we'll be ready to talk volume ratios. Now, if you have a problem such as hydrogen plus oxygen, and you become water is a gas. Now, back when we did this, we should all remember how to balance. If you don't and can't balance, please don't tell me. I'd like to believe 12 weeks in at this point that everybody can balance. Okay? I don't think it would set me free at this point. I think it would just, it would crush me. So if we have two oxygens here, we need two oxygens here because there's only one. So we need to put a 2 there. There'd be 4. So we need a 2 here. Now, you should be able to do that at this point. All right? I'm not going to teach you. If you can't do that, you need to come find me after school, and I will be glad to help you. Okay? But I'm not going to spend any time doing that in class. Because in this particular case, it's steam. We're talking about the gas laws, so I made it a gas. Okay. Now, back when we did this, we talked about the fact that hydrogen has a coefficient of 2. So this would be 2 moles of hydrogen to 1 mole of oxygen to 2 moles of water. I glossed over the fact that we could say that this would be 2 molecules of hydrogen to 1 molecule of oxygen to 2 molecules of water, because we really weren't going to use it back when I glossed over that way back in week 4-ish, and we're still not going to use it, but that relationship is true nonetheless. The relationship that I'm going to talk about today is a volume ratio. Okay? So, 2 volumes of hydrogen I know, are equal to 1 volume of oxygen to 2 volumes of water. Now, this comes with a caveat. This is only true if the temperature and the pressure stay the same. The good news is, y'all are in a first-year chemistry class. Are the problems going to change the temperature and the pressure?
No.
No, they're not. Okay? The temperature and the pressure are going to remain the same for y'all because you're in a first-year temperature or first-year chemistry class. So every single problem that we're going to work, the temperature and pressure are going to remain the same. So this relationship here that I just talked about are always going to be true for our class. You are never going to have to worry about not being able to use these volume-volume ratios. Okay? Well, it's entry level. It's not low level. It's just beginning level. Okay? And everything that we're doing would be good. If you took a college chemistry class, Tomas, it would be true for all of freshman year and for the most part, probably sophomore year. You would really have to go pretty deep into a chemistry major before any of this stuff would change. Okay? Now, what are we going to do with this? What are these volumes going to mean? All right? So let's say that we just talked about some volume units. Give me a volume unit we just worked with. Milliliters. Okay? So I could say that 2 milliliters of hydrogen is equal to 1 milliliter of oxygen, which is equal to 2 milliliters of water. Now, it doesn't have to be milliliters. What's another volume unit that we used all the time in those problems? Liters. I could just as easily have done this with liters. So I could have had 2 liters of hydrogen to 1 liter of oxygen to 2 liters of water. It's a ratio. My point in this discussion is, does it have to be moles? No. We're going to do the same thing we did with moles, except that today we're going to do it with a what? A volume ratio. That's all we're going to do is switch it up from moles to volumes. Okay? We're still going to have to write an equation. We're still going to have to balance it, but we're going to do it with volumes. Okay? Does everybody have what they need off the board? All right, so let's try one. Yeah. Let me move this thing out of the way. And I'll let you write it. All right, we got it written?
Yeah.
All right, for those of you who are still writing, keep writing. Now, what kind of numbers do you see in the question as you're writing?
Volume.
You have a volume. Do you have anything else?
No.
That's all you have, okay? The only number you have here is volume. All right? Okay. That's all you have. Is there a temperature or pressure given? No. Okay, there's no temperature or pressure. What does it say about temperature and pressure?
They're made at the same temperature.
What was the key word in what you just said? Same. Okay, all it says up here is they're the same. Okay, doesn't give you one. So can we plug in to PV equals nRT? Big M? Any of the ones we had on our quiz yesterday? No. Okay? It's important that you remember that because some of you, after I teach tomorrow and Thursday, are going to start saying, oh, this wall said STP, and going to start shoving 273 and 1 ATM in these questions. Did I say that up there? No. You can't use that information. Okay? So when you look up here, we don't have that. Now, what's the next stuff we need to recognize that makes this question different from those ones you just worked on that worksheet? What words do you see that say, oh, something's different about this question? All right, it says combustion in it. All right, that's something we should recognize. It says combustion. What else does it have in it? How many compounds are there? How many?
One.
All right, we got propane. Got anything else? There's 2. Everything you worked on that worksheet had how many compounds? Had 1. It had oxygen, or it had chlorine, or it had argon. It had 1 compound. Okay? 2 compounds tells you you're going to need a what? Yes. Okay? 2 compounds tells you you need a balanced equation. So, it's a combustion. What do we all know combustion's made of?
Carbon, hydrogen.
Carbon, hydrogen, so that's that propane thing. Okay, what do we add to it? And what 2 products do we get? Carbon dioxide and water. Now, if you forgot that, where can you look? On your chart. Do you remember how to balance it?
Yeah.
Okay, how many C's do we have? So what am I going to put over here on my C? I'm going to put a 3 there. How many H's? What am I going to put here? Because 4 times 2 makes 8, right? Now, here's the part some people struggle with. How many O's are here? Plus, how many O's are here? 6 plus 4 is how many? How do I get 10? Everybody good with that? Okay. Tomorrow, we're going to learn how to draw a T-chart for these. Okay? It's a simple T-chart. Instead of putting a mole-mole ratio here, we're going to go from liters to liters. When we change how do we change compounds from one compound to another before? What kind of ratio? We're going to go liters to liters. So we've got what? 0.350 liters of what? Propane, right? So what's going to go on the bottom? Liters of propane. Now, before, this would have been moles of propane. Liter to liter. We're going to change compounds. What'd that ask me to find? We're going to go liters of oxygen. This is going to change the compound. Instead of having volume or mole, this is a volume ratio. We're going to change the compound. Where are the numbers going to come from? The same place. Okay? This is what we're going to do tomorrow. So where do these numbers come from? The balanced equation. So we just look up here and we go, what's in front of C or in front of O2? And what's in front of propane? And that's all we do. Okay? But that's what we're going to work on tomorrow. What's your homework tonight? Finish those questions if you haven't. Let's study for your quiz. If you want to do test corrections, I'll be here today.